In this video, I'm going to be painting this wolf portrait, whilst also showing you some highlights from the initial sketch design all the way to the final details, and I'll also be destroying parts of the painting. Hey there, my name's Sean. Thank you so much for joining me for this oil painting time-lapse video. I hope you're all keeping well. Today I'll be painting a wolf on a 40 by 28 inch stretch canvas with oil paints, and I'll be using Liquid Original for my medium. Let's get painting. Before I start the painting, I tone the canvas with an acrylic wash of ultramarine blue with a touch of black and white. This mid-tone makes it easier for me to judge my tones and colours a bit more, and it also hides that hideous white canvas. Then I sketched the wolf freehand using diluted acrylic paint in a loose fashion. I did intend to create this using only acrylics, but I changed my mind right about here and jumped straight in with the oils. With any subject, I tend to start with the eyes, usually with the darker tones, then I block in a basic colour layer that I can work over with later. I'm using several reference photos for this piece, however they're for reference only. I'm not aiming to create a perfect replica of a photograph. I'll even change up the colours slightly. For example, I want more blues in my cool tones on the fur, and I want more saturation within the eyes, almost like they're burning, which gives a nice balance to the cool backgrounds. For the wolf's fur, I've kept the colour palette simple by using variations of ultramarine blue, burnt umber, raw umber, yellow ochre and titanium white, and I'm using large brushes and focusing on the dark and mid-tones, creating a basic layout to work over with later. I don't want to get caught up in too many details. I want my brush strokes to really show throughout the painting. This first layer of the painting was a lot of fun, and it allows me to be loose and gestural with my brush strokes. On my next layer, I start with the backgrounds, which I can blend parts of the wolf's fur later in the session, just to add a bit more depth. I pay special attention with the eyes. These are where I want the dominant details to be, so I'm using a couple of different smaller brushes and building up those details with warm and cool tones. Here's where that wet background comes into play. I can use an old brush to blend certain areas of the fur into that background, giving the painting more depth. I'm working in an indirect approach, also known as wet on dry, where you work a layer and wait for it to dry before starting the next layer. I also really enjoy the alla prima technique, also known as direct painting or wet on wet. However, I do love playing around with that paint. I just love moving wet paint around to get a variety of brush strokes. I also do a lot of colour mixing on the canvas. I use a blending brush to blend certain areas of the wolf, around the nose and the snout mainly. That's the great thing about oil paints, they're so easy to blend with. However, it can be easy to get carried away with the blending brush. When painting, I don't ever start from one corner and work the paints to the other corner. I work on the painting as one, meaning I could be working on an ear of an animal, then suddenly jump to the nose. It sounds a bit unplanned and random, but that's how I like to work. I love those spontaneous brush strokes you can get with different size and shape brushes. As I've stated before, I want that loose vibe, where the painting looks quite realistic from a distance, yet when you get up close, those brush strokes are clear and evident. After adding some texture with my palette knife, I felt it was time for the real fun to begin. You might know by now that I love abstraction in my paintings, so I think I need to destroy some parts of this one and add a modern touch to it. Once the paint is dry, for my next layer, I mix up a few large batches of paints, a mad mix of ivory black, titanium white, ultramarine blue and ultramarine violet, and with some liquid original, I start applying the mixes with a large brush and a large deep breath. And here comes the real brown pants moment. With my roller, I can break up the painting, giving me that abstract effect I adore so much. I make sure to clean the roller in between applications, and I'm careful not to over-roll it. In conjunction to this, I use a brush and a palette knife for other interesting effects. On my last layer, I add some darker details in just a few places, then make a few alterations whilst also adding some final touches and adjustments. This is where my strongest highlights are also added with thick paints, and my darkest tones are added to really push that contrast out. I had an absolute blast with this painting, especially towards the end when I destroyed parts and brought other parts of the painting to life and used thick paint with unpredictable tools such as the roller and the palette knife. What a thrill that was. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to try new things and experiment and take risks and try different approaches when it comes to painting and art in general, and you might just be surprised with the outcome. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate your support. It means a great deal to me. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, then please do so and hit that little bell to be notified for when I upload my next video. And I'll see you very soon. Take care for now, everyone. Bye-bye.